What up, guys? We're out here getting ready, tidy up this white car for the 50 bajillionth time. Got the carburetor back from Charles. There was he used the wrong gasket, so it didn't have the right part in it for the bottom plates. We got the right one in there now. Slap this baby on here tonight, fire this thing up, and ideally that should be the end of that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll just show y'all when it's done, basically. So it should be done. I should be able to take it back this weekend. But anyways, in other news, what else do we have going on? So I am planning to get the Bridgeport back in the silver car. So we're going to be, once I'm done with that other car, we're going to be sticking this bad boy on the engine stand, getting it cleaned, getting it flushed out, making sure that it's good to go to get put back in the silver car at some point. Then I just want to have it done. Then it's in here and it's ready to go. The other thing, if y'all remember from Deals Gap, when we went earlier this year, I had an issue with my Weber carburetor. And the issue was, I'll show you, just set this down real quick, that the float bowl fill right here was cracked and it broke off. So I quick sealed it back on because I didn't have another carburetor, and it had a slight fuel leak, but we drove it to Deals Gap anyways because that's how we roll, and we just put a fire extinguisher in the car. So we did that. Now, if you just saw that one, I have another top cap on it. That's good. So that means that we can now run the Bridgeport setup in the silver car, because a 465 Holley would probably be good enough for it, but I'm going to put the Holley carburetor and the Stockport motor back in my race car. So then the yellow car is good, and then once the yellow car is good, then, I mean, it's good, then I can drive it, and we can have rally stuff here. So that's the plans on that one. The other plan is, so when this one's started and done tonight, I'm going to fire up the white race car and pull it in here. So if you heard in the video where we smashed the BMW, it was missing, and I don't know why. Could just be plugs, could be fuel issue, could be fuel slosh, could be something weird. Well, anyways, I've had to start it and move it a few times since then. As you can see it, maybe it's right here, silver car there. Anyways, it's still missing, and it's a little bit mad when I fire it up. So I don't know. I hope I didn't blow the motor up again. I hope it didn't tear it up. I don't know. It is running aftermarket injectors in that car, and not stock ones, so maybe they're the wrong size or something. It's how I got it, but you never know. So once this one's done and out, I'm going to fire that up, bring it in here, and start doing some science on it really quick. And then eventually this weekend, there's going to be a really sick project coming here. It's not mine. It's for Charles that we're going to start working on, or I'm going to start working on for him, try to get it done. Actually, no, I am going to get it done before the end of the year. So, but I'm going to go ahead and slap this one back together, and basically it should be good to go. So that's kind of what I'm doing now, which I'm not going to film any of that. The other thing is I had a guy asked me to do a video on Holley carburetors, so I'm going to I don't have another 465 here, but I have one at Charles' house, or Charles has one at Charles' house. So I'm going to grab his, but I can make a video basically going through how my carburetor is set up for my stock 12A, and then that way I would say 80% of people that are going to run a Holley carburetor on a 12A, it's going to be a stock 12A or a street port. There's not many people that don't know how to set up a Holley carburetor or will go a different route that have like built 12As. For example, anybody that has a full bridge 12A in most cases is going to know how to set up like a Weber carburetor or fuel injection or something like that because they have a built 12A. Most guys that are putting Holley carburetors or buying just an aftermarket kit for their car have a 12A car that doesn't run, and they just want to make it run, so they don't want to have to deal with that whole mess of stock and Nicky and have to deal with these, which really aren't that hard to work on, and you can strip these down and really make them run. There's tons of good write-ups on it, and there's people out there, if you hop on the forums, there's people that will build you a really sick Nicky just slap on your stock car and you can delete everything. I've done it for a couple people. A guy in Louisville, we put what'd you call it, I think they called it a fat Nicky. There was a guy, Sterling something, building carburetors a while back. We've got one of his laying around. So he does some like bigger jets and stuff like that. There's a guy on the East Coast that builds them that'll do like, he can like bore them out. So if you are building like a big hot motor, like a Raceport or even a Bridgeport, I think you could probably bore it out and put bigger jets in it and get the Nicky to work with those. And that is cheaper than going out and buying like a Weber carburetor setup like this. So, you know, this carburetor, this is a 50 millimeter DCOE. So if you look how big that thing is, I mean, it's giant in there. And I even have 48 millimeter choke tubes in it. And like, this is a big carburetor, but this is an original Weber, and this is worth a bunch of money. I mean, you can't just go buy these really anymore. They're hard to find complete ones, especially just one. Now you can go find like a triple kit for a Datsun Z, but even those are getting hard to find. Second thing, it's hard to get these old manifolds to find these. So I know there's a guy that has a couple new old stock ones on eBay, like $400. But I mean, that is going to cost you to get this set up on your car is going to cost you more than paying somebody to rebuild a Nicky for you. So, in my opinion, make the stock one work. That's why we're doing it on this. And then two, people are starting to want an arm and a leg for those Holley manifolds, so it's getting hard to find those. The other trick you can do if you have a 13B or 6-port, you can take a stock 6-port lower, which I don't have one laying around, surprising. I do, but it's just up there. So like this lower manifold part that goes on the motor, this is for a old school 13B, and they have this top piece right here that separates. So Racing Beat sold an elbow, just a short elbow. If you go back and look at my rotary truck, which I don't really think I have a video of it, but the rotary truck, imagine it chopped right here, and this part, the upper piece bolts to that 6-port lower. You can get those for like a Weber or even for an IDA setup, which is straight down. So look into those for some carburetor stuff. But I will film a dedicated Holley video here coming the end of this week of sorts, but just kind of wanted to update you on some stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this daddy back together. We did tear down an engine for Will's car, which is the black one out there. So this was his spare engine, and the housings are junk. So 12A people, make sure that you run some good premix and keep those motors healthy, because it is getting hard to find parts for those. So, because that's the, what would that be? My motor, the motor from this car, that motor. That's 3 motors I've torn down this year that the housings are completely wrecked. And 2 of them, meaning that one and this one, were completely original from Mazda, still sealed. So don't count on buying a blown up 12A car and being able to rebuild the motor, because these old ones they're old. I mean, that motor is, what, 40 years old now. So keep that in mind when you're going into rotary cars. Parts are getting harder and harder to find. So, this. Alright, y'all. So, got the car fired up. It didn't exactly fire right up, but it did fire up. I got a little ambitious in trying to let it idle without the choke, and it died. And then now it won't fire back up because I'm pretty sure I flooded it. So, I'm not in any crazy hurry to make sure it fires back up tonight, because I got a video to edit. So I'm going to go. So I'm pretty sure I flooded it, and I'm going to go inside and let all this fuel dry up, pull the plugs out, and crank it over a little bit, and then I'm just going to let it sit overnight, and I will come back and get it tomorrow. I know it'll start, so which is good. It does seem to idle on the choke a heck of a lot smoother than before, and it will idle at like half choke, so that's a win. But like I said, I just got a little ambitious and let it die, and then flooded it trying to restart it, and welcome to old cars. So with that, I'm going to piddle with this tomorrow night. Alrighty, y'all. So, coming to the end of this video, what have we done? Charles came over. We worked on the white car, and got it firing up now, so like it starts easy. The whole deal. We got that stuff figured out, but we still couldn't get it to idle. Just not even close. We were piddling with the carburetor, adjusting the mixture screws, adjusting the idle, adjusting this, adjusting that, adjusting the timing. It just wouldn't idle at all. Once it got down into the idle circuit of that carburetor, it just didn't want to stay running. So, took the carburetor off, gave it back to Charles. We put the carburetor from Will's black car, which is an early Nicky. So there's through the years of Nicky carburetor, there's different castings and emissions and all that crap on it. So this is a 79 Nicky. So it's, notice, heck of a lot less going on this thing. So we put that on there, got it fired up, but the secondaries was dripping fuel pretty good, so it was missing, but it would at least mildly idle. So what that proves is that something's still yanked up with that carburetor, because it starts with both carburetors. So the engine, it's not like the engine's low compression even though it's a fresh build, stuff like that, or like the timing's off or spark's bad or whatever. So that's the update on this. Charles has the carburetor. I am planning to deliver the car back to the guy that owns it on Sunday. So the car will be going after that, which will be good, so he can kind of drive it and break it in. Ideally, it's all good to go by then. But even then, if I'm still kind of fighting stuff, and I talked to him about it as well, it's just, it's been here for a while. I've been messing with stuff on it for a long time, and it's just one of those, it's an old car. There's always going to be stuff that comes up, So I'm wanting to get it to a spot where he can drive it a little bit, see what else breaks, and then I can take a break from working on it, and work on some stuff for me, and that kind of deal. So it's just it's been a fight. So Charles is gonna help me get it back together. We should have it dialed Saturday, I think, with figuring out this carb issue. If not, we'll build another carb for it and put that one on it. But Charles is gonna make the carb run on his rotary truck, get it idling on that. And then we'll, once it's idling on that truck, it should idle on this fine, because it revs, everything else works great, it just doesn't want to idle. So, and there's no vacuum leaks. We smoked it again today and couldn't find any vacuum leaks under the carb. So, that's the white car update. What to look for coming in the future. One, probably maybe one more video on the white car, but I doubt it, because I'm just done with it, so I'm going to send it on its merry way. However, what you should look for in the next video that I'm going to film this weekend is going to be a Holley carburetor video. So I had a guy ask me to do one. I've got this 650 here. Charles has a 465 Holley, a racing beat prepped one at his house that needs rebuilt. That's just been on the shelf for a while, so we're going to rebuild that this weekend on Sunday. After I drop this car off, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to film kind of the rebuild process on that, and then film basically the setup of one to run on a stock 12A. So basically a Jets, accelerator pump cam size, accelerator pump cam position, power valve, that sort of thing, and show you basically how mine's set up on my silver car, so that you could recreate that on your 12A and run it. Or if you're tired of fighting the Nicky carbs like this guy, you just buy a Holley and slap it on there and make it run. So that's what you can look for in the other video. I'm sorry that this video wasn't exactly super eventful, but it's at least an update in video, and y'all can watch it and see what's up. So that's the plan there. Yeah. I guess the quick tidbit is, once this car's done, Charles's rotary truck comes here and we're going to paint it before Deals Gap. So that's kind of the next, I guess we'll say, vehicle that's going to be in my shop. I got to do a couple little things on the race car first, but we'll do that. And then after that comes motor build time. So I'm wanting to build an engine stand so I can run engines in the garage here. And it'll probably like have an exhaust pipe that goes outside and stuff like that, and a muffler and things, so that way I can run engines in here in the winter and not smoke myself out. Because I got to build a 6-port for the yellow race car, got to build a 4-port for the Cosmo, and a couple 12As. So with that, thanks for tuning in. Subscribe. Keep it red.